Welcome to Real Take Sports Talk Monday NFL preview. We are previewing the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills playing tonight on Monday Night Football. I am joined today by the one, the only ho, Mr. Andrew Hohenstein. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
Uh, I'm traumatized from last night, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, we're not going down that rabbit hole because Andrew will probably rant for about 20 minutes. So the Buffalo Bills are 11-3 going into this game, and we'll just let I guess a few people join, but we'll just start talking about them right now. The Buffalo Bills, like I said, 11-3 going into this game. They've already clinched the division. They have the possibility to clinch the second seed, which wouldn't give them a bye, but it would potentially give them home field for the divisional round, and then maybe for the AFC Championship game in the case that the Kansas City Chiefs lose. Josh Allen is on a tear this year. Josh Allen is an MVP candidate. Some say an MVP favorite. I think that would be going a little too far, even though I do think his talent does merit him being up there in the conversation. Josh Allen this year has accumulated uh, 30 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, as well as a bunch of touchdowns on the ground. I don't have the stats in front of me. Andrew, maybe you can tell me. But yeah, so they have that. Now, the New England Patriots, which is interesting. The New England Patriots, Andrew, are playing for history because if they lose tonight, it would be the first time in almost 20 years, rather, that they've had a losing record. They have not had losing record since the 2000 season when they went 5-11. So, Andrew, give me your big takeaway for the game. Give me your big thing to watch out for the game.
Dude, just Josh Allen, man. I mean, I understand Belichick. This is more of a pride thing for Belichick at this point. The season is over for them. There's no playoff indicate like they're not going to be in the playoffs at this point. This is just a pride thing, man. This is just win this one for the fans. They're on their home field. Win this one for the fans. This game means more for Buffalo that seating wise than it does for um the Patriots. So my biggest thing is just look for the Patriots, try to protect home field, but I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting Josh Allen put up 40 on them for real.
Yeah, I would expect the same. I think Josh Allen is he's having a career year. A lot of people thought that he was not going to be as good as he is now. Well, look at him now. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. He's running the ball like a monster. I don't think a lot of people even expected him to be running the ball as good as he is. Josh Allen has proven a lot of the doubters wrong. He's proven a lot of the haters wrong. The people who thought he wasn't worth that first round grade. The people who thought he wasn't worth being a first round, even a second round quarterback. People had him graded as a third rounder back in 18. Third rounder, which is crazy. But only thinking the only people who really had him going in the first round were people like Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. But like other than that, there were a lot of haters. There were a lot of haters. Mel Kiper was a huge believer in this kid, and there's a reason because he's got the arm, he's got the athleticism, he's got the intangibles to make it work. He's got all the vowels you could ask for. So Josh Allen is proving people wrong, and I think he's right up there with Lamar Jackson as the best quarterback from that 2018 class. And some people might argue that he's a better complete quarterback, and I actually think they would have a stake in that argument. I think there is merit to the idea that Josh Allen, given how dynamic he is with his legs and the accuracy and the velocity with which he throws the football, I think there's merit in the idea that he might actually be a more complete package right now than Lamar Jackson is.
I would put merit into it. Lamar, we know the kind of athlete that Lamar is. We know Lamar, remember they were trying to make him a wideout at the combine before he said no, I'm a quarterback. So Lamar, the passing game has come along since he was drafted. And I think it's going to continue to develop because he is still young. But right now, Josh Allen, I mean, what was Josh Allen when he came in, dude? Josh Allen was just a dude with a strong arm who they were wondering, can this dude lead a team? We know he's got the strong arm. They questioned his accuracy. And some people questioned his mobility. Can he, get out of the pocket and make big plays? And we're seeing this year, dude, he can. Ever since he's set foot in Buffalo, they named him the starter, dude. He's just continued to prove people wrong. And there were people that believed in him. You know, Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky has been on the Josh Allen train since like what, week 3. And I mean, I've been on the Josh Allen train too, dude, just because, you know, I love the quarterback coming out of the small school. A lot of people doubted him, and he's proven them wrong. And going to an organization like Buffalo, where maybe they haven't had the kind of success that, you know, you would think they should have. They have a really good organizational structure. McDermott's a great coach. That defense has always been good. And he's got a weapon out there. You know, I was talking about it the other day. Getting Stephon Diggs, dude. Stephon Diggs was the wideout they thought they were getting in Kelvin Benjamin and in Sammy Watkins. And you're seeing, dude, they went from what, a wild card team last year, a team who almost beat the Texans, lost the Texans in overtime, to they're probably going to get the 2 seed in the 3 seed. No, 2. Hold on, I'm trying to think. They are
2 seed.
probably 2 seed. They're probably going to get the 2 seed. Win tonight, they're probably getting the 2 seed in the AFC playoffs. So we're going to see, you know, we're going to see what happens. We'll see what happens tonight. But I've been on the Josh Allen train. I've been rooting for Josh Allen since he was at, what did he come out of? Wyoming? I've been rooting for him since
Wyoming,
he came
the
out of
pride
Wyoming.
of
And
the Wyoming.
pride of Wyoming. And dude, this is something Bills Mafia has wanted this for so long. Brady's
And
gone. They've always been the Patriots' little brother. It's their time to be like, this is our division. This is our division. They got their young quarterback. They got a good defense, great coach. And I'm not saying Super Bowl, but they are going to be there, dude. They're going to be up there with the Chiefs in the AFC for a long, long time.
yeah, I think right now for the long term, the teams that are built to win are the Patriots, or sorry, not the Patriots, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. Those are the teams that are going to be, I think, running basically the AFC for the next, like, let's say 8 to 10 years. But the question arises, though, what is like? Are we seeing the ceiling for the Bills? Rather, are we seeing the Bills kind of cap out this season? There's been a lot of talk that this team, this is as good as it can get. And a lot of people would say if it's as good as it can get, it'd be pretty damn good. But there are a few missing pieces to this offense. People forget they don't really have a running back. I think like they don't really have that star running back like they did when they had Marshawn Lynch or C.J. Spiller or Fred Jackson back in the day. They're missing that running back piece, and I think that's people who say that this offense is probably capped out. I think they're missing that idea that this offense doesn't have a running back because with a running back that can go, with a running back that can possibly make moves in space with Josh Allen's mobility, that is the key for this team to have sustainable success, not just for the next 2 3 years, but I think for the next 10. They get that running game down, and it's not hard to find running backs these days. You can find like solid running backs in the third, fourth rounds even. But if they get this running game together, I do think that the Bills are going to be built to compete with the Chiefs, Ravens, and all those other teams. I mean, maybe the Browns. I don't even know if there is like really that other team, that top level team that we know is going to be active, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's a team like we don't really know what their future is, because as soon as Big Ben retires, who's going to be running that offense? We don't know. So take them out of the equation. Maybe the Bengals, they can figure out everything around Joe Burrow, but we don't know about them. Browns, again, let's see them make the playoffs first. I'll believe it when I see it. Um, but yeah, so those are the 3 teams though, and I think they can compete with those 3 teams. But I think Josh Allen has to beat one of those guys, because we know Lamar Jackson hasn't beat Pat Mahomes before, but he has beaten Josh Allen. He beat the Bills last year. So if Josh Allen can get over the hump, I think that's a team that could be competing for the next 10 years.
It will be interesting to see too. We're gonna get into draft coverage later on, like as the season progresses. Like after the season ends, we're probably gonna get into the draft coverage and everything like that, and looking into like the contract, seeing who's leaving, who's coming. But don't be surprised if that's something that they do need, because the running game is so important. Especially now, you're seeing a lot of these teams that are successful. I'm not bringing up my team, but because the passing game is so big, and a lot of these teams now, that the running game is a staple in their offense. You need a good, you need to run RPOs. You need a good running game. And don't be surprised if they address that in the offseason, where at the draft, if they draft a running back,
Yeah.
I have to go back and I have to see exactly which running backs are coming out. I know ETN is definitely coming out of college. I have to go back and do my research on some of the running backs that are coming out. But, as you were saying before, dude, you don't have to get a good running back in the first round. You could get a running back in the second round. Think about all these running backs that we have now. Jonathan Taylor, he was my preseason pick for rookie of the year, dude. Jonathan Taylor is on a fucking tear right now,
Let's
dude.
let's take a break from talking about the Bills. Let's talk about the Pats. Because I see what Pat fan has joined us. So the Patriots 6-8 going into this game, on the verge of having their first losing season since 2000. Where did the Pats go from here? What did they do at quarterback? What did they do at the rest of the team? Because they are getting I think they lost 8 players. This this I just heard a woman scream outside. That is very alarming. But regardless, what do the Pats do going forward at quarterback? They got those 8 players coming back next year. What do they do moving forward? Who they draft potentially? Who they pick up in free agency? What they do with Cam Newton?
Cam is gone. Cam
Yeah,
Cam
yeah.
is gone. Cam's best days are behind him. I mean, we were talking about it whether they should, go out and bring back Jimmy G. That's one of Belichick's dudes. I don't know because the jury is out on Jimmy G. Jimmy G is also coming off an injury, so I don't know if that would be the best bet. We just saw them go take, an MVP off an injury, and look at what happened. It didn't really get them nowhere. Don't be surprised if they draft a quarterback. Don't be surprised if they draft because we do have some young quarterbacks coming out. I don't know if Belichick would be willing to because once you draft a quarterback, especially what they're coming off of, you know what I mean? Like he's saying hit rebuild. And I think the Patriots, they're not a rebuild kind of like their culture is not rebuild. Their kind of thing is
Retool.
retool. So,
Yeah.
where do the Patriots go from here? They have a lot of questions that have to be answered, dude. Think about it. They have to that defense. They have to shore up that defense. I think Gilmore they have locked up. I forget. I don't know what the contract situation. I think Hightower might be locked up. Don't forget, dude. They had dudes opt out at the beginning of the year too. Like Hightower hasn't played all year, so
Patrick
which I
Chung.
think a lot of that factored into how the season finished out. So they have a lot of questions, but the main thing they have to answer right now is the quarterback. Cam is not the quarterback. Cam's best days are behind him. It'll be interesting to see whether, they bring back a guy like Jimmy G or whether they look in the draft. We were talking about Zach Wilson earlier today. Johnny was asking me about Zach Wilson as opposed to Justin Fields. I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be on the board when the time the
No, he's
Patriots
not. No.
draft,
No,
but,
Justin Fields gonna be done by the top. He's gonna be taken at least by the top five.
top, yeah.
Top
So
five.
it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see, whether they look into a guy like Zach Wilson or one of these other Mac Jones, one of these other quarterbacks coming out. But they have to answer that first. The quarterback is
Hmm.
something they have to answer first because obviously replacing Brady has proven to be a lot harder than people thought. People thought, the Patriot way. They got all those dudes, around them, the buy into the Patriot way and everything like that. And it was like, listen, I've been talking to people who've been telling me, maybe the Belichick way was never the Patriot way. Maybe Tom's way was the Patriot way. So
Possibly.
trying to replace that is their first question. They got to show up the quarterback. I don't know what direction they're going to go in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I do think though that actually let me transition over to you. I do think that they're not going to draft a quarterback. In the first round at least. I don't see them doing that because that's again just not the Patriot way. That's just not the Patriot way. What did the New England Patriots do? Think about their history. When they draft players, where do they get a majority of their great players? They get them in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round,
Later.
late round picks. They're all about getting late round picks and getting bang for your buck. First round, if they have a plug and play type of situation, if they need example would be if they need like a wide receiver, they get in the first round, they'll pick them. Granted, they don't have the best track record of picking first round wide receivers as of late, but
Nikhil Harry did not
yeah, I
pan out.
mean, yeah, when he's compared to his contemporaries, yeah, he's not as good. But what that's not accounting for, however, is the fact that the quarterback position in New England is extremely important. You need that guy who's going to be able to run and sustain that offense and run it like Bill Belichick wants. You need an accurate short passing game. You need someone who's going to be able to hand the ball off and not necessarily call his own number and run the ball himself. So that's going to be interesting. Like I said, Cam Newton probably done in New England, like done. He's not had a good season whatsoever. Be like everyone wants to talk about that Seattle game. Yeah, what was he really like after? Like, you can't just base an entire season off of one game. If that was the case, Dwayne Haskins would still be in the NFL. But speaking of Dwayne Haskins, let's talk about that guy. Let's talk about Dwayne Haskins, now former, again, former quarterback of the Washington football team. He was let go today by the Washington football team. He was 3-10 as a starter. Didn't have a great rapport with the team. His touchdown interception ratio was 12 to 14, 74% passer rating, and he only completed just about 60% of his passes in his tenure with the Washington football team. So, Andrew, talk to me about Dwayne Haskins. What went wrong? How do we get to this point, and where do we see him moving forward?
Well, I think part of the problem with Dwayne Haskins was, you know what it was? I think the ability was always there. You saw that at Ohio State. And I know a lot of people are going to say, he now joins another member of the Ohio State quarterback alum who just didn't pan out in the NFL. That's one thing people fear about Fields is people were like, these are what Ohio State guys do when they get to the NFL. I think Fields is different, but we're going to find out. I think Fields is cut from a different mold, but onto the Dwayne Haskins thing, dude. I thought he was very immature, as you saw, a week ago. They lost the game. He's out at the strip club with no mask, hours after losing a game and everything like that. That's not
His
something that
second his second COVID violation of the year,
when
not his
when you're a
first.
team trying to make when you're a team trying to make a playoff push and you're in the driver's seat coming off of a loss or something like that, that's not something you want to see from your leader. Remember, they voted him team captain earlier in the year. He was stripped actually after the incident of the captainship. I mean, I think Dwayne Haskins, a lot of it was just a maturity thing. I think a
Yep.
problem was a maturity thing, and he didn't have the right people around him. But at the same time, I don't think he gave himself a chance. A lot of people are going to ask, whether Dwayne Haskins was given a chance. I don't think Dwayne Haskins gave himself a chance, dude. You look at all these people, he's got someone like Alex Smith. Alex Smith is one of the perfect people you can learn from. Think about it. Alex Smith is the guy who is the reason for why Mahomes is who Mahomes. Yeah, Andy Reid, but who was the dude? Who was the quarterback in Kansas City right before? Who basically, he coached this kid up. He taught this kid everything he knows. One from the minute that kid set foot in Kansas City was Alex Smith. He had the perfect teacher, and I just don't think the kid really had any interest. I think he was one of those, I made it to the NFL. I made it. And I think I can out talent my way once I'm here. And in the NFL, you can't do that, dude. In the NFL, one of the biggest things, Pat McAfee always talks about it with kickers, but it's quarterbacks too, is you can have the talent, but a lot of what's going on between the ears, what's going on up here is that can dictate how you do. And I just don't think Dwayne Haskins was all there up here. Talent was definitely there. He wasn't all there up here. And you saw what happened, dude.
Well, when you say he wasn't all there up here, I feel
It was a
like
maturity thing. I
yeah,
felt
well,
like it was
yeah,
a maturity thing.
I get what you're saying. Like, and I think you're right about that. I think that at the end of the day, it's one of those things. You can be an ineffective quarterback, right? And like in your first 2 years, especially, you can be ineffective, and the team will still kind of back you. They won't cut you outright. Like we saw that with Blaine Gabbert in Jacksonville. We saw that with Daniel. We've seen that with Daniel Jones, even though he's been playing better in the past few games before he got
Not
injured.
the most talented guy, but he's a guy that Giants
Right.
team and that organization can get
Right.
behind. Yep.
They rally behind. Right. And there's a reason for that, and it's that maturity factor too. Because you can be bad, and early in your career, but when you're bad and you have when you're costing your team potentially games, because we know how important the quarterback position is for the game of football. When the Denver Broncos lost their quarterback, what happened? They had to play with a wide receiver, and it was done before it started. Some argue they never should have played that game, but that's
Who
what
was
happened.
the
And
who the
and
fuck
if
was
and
they had a wideout. They had a wideout. I think they had a wideout. People were
Hinton,
saying they had a
Hinton,
wide receiver.
Hinton.
No, 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 not the quarterback. They had a wideout, a rookie
No,
wide receiver.
that was him, Hinton.
Um, was it the rookie wide receiver?
Yeah, yeah.
One of
Yeah,
them was one of them was sitting there saying he was like, "I will play fucking quarterback for you. I don't care. Just and they might do. You know what? They might have done better than
right.
whoever they put out there.
Yeah. But with Dwayne Haskins specifically, what went wrong was one, he wasn't playing well, and two, his problem was that not only was he wasn't playing well, he was also becoming a problem off the field, because this wasn't his when he went to the strip club and he had that incident. This wasn't his first COVID violation. This was his second of the season. And when you're putting your team in that position, especially when you know the starting quarterback is injured, when Alex Smith, the guy who they've been relying on for the past 5 games beforehand to win them games, is injured, and you're the only other option really, that's on you. You have to know, okay, I shouldn't be exposing myself, especially now that I'm potentially going to be the starter when we're trying to make a playoff push. Because that, what does that tell your team about you? That you don't really care about them when they're the ones who are quarantining, when they're the ones, all right, if we weren't, buckling down before, we're doing it now. What happens then is you are basically telling your team that I don't care what you guys want. I don't care what is best for the team. I care more about myself. And again, this isn't a Barry Dwayne Haskins type of thing, right? Because the dude is like he's a kid. He's like I want that to mean no. He's like 23 years old. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of time to make up for this, and I think Dwayne Haskins could get a second shot at the NFL because one thing that he did prove, like, he wasn't able to put it together in Washington, and granted, a lot of that had to do with like that organization is just in shambles. Like Alex Smith is what he's doing actually is just insane. And that defense and Chase Young and all them boys, what they're doing is insane given how inept that organization is. And Ron Rivera also deserves credit for this. But what Dwayne Haskins, he showed that he does have potential. He's got the raw ability to be an NFL quarterback. Whether he's starting or a franchise guy, I'm not sure about anymore. But he does have the talent to be a quarterback, probably a long time backup. And honestly, that's a good career if because you get to make money to just sit on the bench, sometimes come and win games. I think he can be that guy. And who knows, he probably could still be a starter. But at the end of the day, you have to be at least the bare minimum requirement is to put your team above yourself in those types of situations. Don't go out when you know there's a chance for you to get COVID, especially without a mask. Don't go don't go posting on social media like things about your team. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't do that outside stuff. Just let that shit go. Because when you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game, right? When you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game, you have to be willing to say, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what my potential action could cost my team, and you have to think like that and constantly, especially at the quarterback position, because you're the leader. Whether we like it or not, quarterbacks are always going to be the leaders of the team. That's the person you're looking at because, at the end of the day, what do people care about? Who has the ball in their hands? At the end of the day, every single football player, coach, everything. That's all they're really caring about. In that moment when you're watching football, who has the ball in their hands? The eyes on you. All the eyeballs are on you to begin the play, and you have to know how to handle it, and you also have to know how to finish it. Now, unfortunately, Dwayne Haskins at this point in his career did not know how to finish it. But yeah, hopefully he
And
gets
it
another
really
shot.
and it really is a shame. I think it'll be interesting to see if he does get another shot because I mean, just based off of the narratives, dude, people are gonna base him like people are gonna say he's a distraction. People are gonna say he has too many off the field issues that go on. The talent is definitely there, and I think he should get another chance just based off of talent alone. But with the way the league is going and everything like that, I just people are trying to eliminate distractions like that. And I think another thing that is going to factor in is that, like, people looked at like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was a distraction. What did Pittsburgh do? They got rid of him. You know what I'm saying? Le'Veon Bell was a distraction. Pittsburgh said, they said, screw you. Like, we're not gonna give you your money. He's a distraction off the field and everything like that. It's worked out for those guys. Those guys were proven though. The difference is Dwayne Haskins isn't proven yet. So the fact that he already has this negative connotation on himself, I mean, he is still young, so he might be able to salvage it. But dude, if they bring the XFL back, he might have to, do a stint in the XFL, might have to do a stint in the CFL to really prove that, he is changed. And if that doesn't happen, then he might have played his last NFL game this past Sunday. If it
Well,
doesn't end up happening.
he'll have to wait until 2022 to actually play in the XFL. They're not coming back until 2022 when Dwayne the Rock Johnson finally brings them back out of the ashes. Um, let's talk about one more thing with the Washington football team, and then we'll get back to the game because the game starts in about 40 minutes. And just a reminder, if anyone watching this right now, be sure to subscribe, like this video, subscribe for more content, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new video is released. Real Take Sports Talk every single week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Also consider giving to our Patreon, $2 a month. Not a bad deal for getting extra bonus content. So Andrew, tell me about this. Tell me about the the Washington football team and how far they could go, because right now they're sitting at, I believe, 6-9. They're in a win and they're in type of situation this coming week. Where do we see them going? Do we see them potentially losing this game and opening the door for either Dallas or the Giants? And they're playing the Eagles, I might add. What's going to happen there?
It depends because I'm trying to think. Do they hold the tiebreaker against Dallas? Because if Dallas wins, I
If
think
Dallas, here, I'll tell you the scenario. So if Washington, in the case that Washington loses, the winner of the New York Giants and Dallas game, or yeah, the New York Giants and the Dallas game wins the division and goes on to the playoffs. If they lose, they're out.
okay, so Washington has to win this game.
They
I was
have
just
to
trying to
win,
think about
and they play the
so
Eagles
right.
with apparently Jalen Hurts still at quarterback.
Yeah, I think they're gonna keep Jalen Hurts a quarterback. So your question was what exactly about Washington? What does Washington have to do, or is this a must win? Obviously, it's a must win for
Obviously, it's
Washington.
a must win, but can they win? The question is, can they win? And if not, who does it open the door for in that New York Giants and Dallas game?
I think obviously I think they can win because think about a lot of the game. Like we've talked about Jalen Hurts. What is Jalen Hurts? He's not a pure quarterback. He's not exactly a pocket passer. He's more of a scrambler. He's more of a playmaker. He's more of a I'm going to get out of the pocket, utilize my legs. Their best player is Miles Sanders, the running back, and everything like that. You know what I mean? So I think they can win just because we know how good their run defense is. Remember, they were one of the top run defenses in the entire NFL. They got the dude Chase Young. They have Deron Payne. That defensive line has just been insane this year. The back half of their defensive secondary hasn't been too bad either. I think they can win this game. A lot of it is going to depend on Alex Smith, though. Alex Smith, I think, is still injured. I think he has a calf strain, so a
There,
lot of it's going to depend on.
indications say that he will likely play. According to Adam Schefter, he will likely play, but he is going to be probably a game time decision as to whether or
He's
not
going to
he.
be he's
Yeah,
going to be a game time decision. I could see him playing. If Alex Smith plays, I mean, that gives them the best chance of winning. You know what their defense is going to bring. Their defense is going to limit you. Especially you're not going to be able to run the ball. So if the Eagles are not able to run the ball, that basically has what has been the biggest thing for them. Yeah, Jalen Hurts has made a few passes and everything like that, but you shut down Miles Sanders, you're it's going to go a long way towards beating the Eagles. And the Eagles, they're not playing for much. You know what I mean? So this is not even like the Eagles. I don't know if the Eagles are going to rest starters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the Eagles are going to do, but I think Washington's ability to stop the run is going to be huge. I think Washington can win this game. Honestly, I think Alex Smith is going to show up. Remember, Alex Smith, he's already defied the odds just by being on the field. What's another thing he can do? Remember, this is 2020 also. So another thing Alex Smith can do to defy the odds and just further the legend of Alex Smith is, I came back, almost lost my leg, almost died. And guess what? I took the Washington football team to the playoffs. I took the Washington football team. We picked number 2 overall, drafted this generational defensive end. We bought in Ron Rivera, who survived cancer during the season. We get a win and I'm going to take this team to the playoffs and host a playoff game. Something that nobody even thought Washington was even possible for Washington. And in the case that Washington does lose, though, Dallas has the best chance just because you've seen Dallas has been on a tear. Andy Dalton seems to have rediscovered himself. And, Dallas, we know the talent that Dallas has. I think Dallas is finally just, they're saying, screw it, we're making a playoff push. They're just going to try to out-talent everybody. Dallas has more talent than the Giants. I would not be surprised if Dallas wins. So if Dallas is my pick to win that game this Sunday, and if Dallas wins that game and Washington loses, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the fucking Cowboys are in. And if the Cowboys make the fucking playoffs, dude, remember, what have I said numerous times before? The Cowboys are the only team that can be Super Bowl contenders and be statistically eliminated. If they're statistically in the playoffs and hosting a playoff game, oh, you better believe, dude,
Oh
everyone's
no,
going to have them beating the Chiefs. The
they're
media's going to have them
champions.
beating the Chiefs.
They're
The media's going to have them
champions.
beating they're going to have them beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Dude. You know my conspiracy. The Cowboys fans run the sports media world. Starts and stops with the Cowboys, and it's weird and it's messed up and it's stupid. Honestly, it's really stupid that the Cowboys get as much attention as they do, even though they're as inept and unproductive and inefficient as they are and they have been over the past 30 years. Like, how many playoff games they won? What 2 playoff games in the past 25 years? And this is America's team. The team that's supposed to be America's team. They're supposed to represent us every week. Joe Buck, this is America's game of the week with the Dallas Cowboys. Insert team, other team here, right? Like every single week, we listen to this constant bullshitting by people like Skip Bayless. We listen to this constant bullshitting by even people who hate the Cowboys, like Stephen A. Love to hype them up so that he can tear them down, right? Because it gets ratings, because it gets people talking. It's never been about the Cowboys or who's the best team. It's just about, oh, how about them Cowboys? What's Jerry Jones doing now? Like, no, I don't give a fuck. Nobody cares. Let's talk about teams that have a chance to make it. Let's talk about teams that have a chance to win it. Teams like the Buffalo Bills. And on that note, let's get back to this game. The New England Patriots, like I said earlier, are taking on the playoff-headed Buffalo Bills, and the Bills have a chance to win a playoff game for the first time, I believe, in almost 23 years, which is going to be huge. And it's really sad. The saddest part about all of this is that Bills Mafia is not around to see this year. That they're not in the same because this type of run that they have. Granted, they might be doing it next year, but dude, this is if the Bills Mafia was here. Actually, it's probably good that they're not here. They might like set fire to the entire stadium. They might be so happy and proud. Like Bills Mafia is weird. These are people like they do some WWE shit. They at their tailgates they light tables on fire and body slam each other through tables because that's what they do in Buffalo.
By the way,
And
I fucking love it.
I mean I'm all for it, dude. They're the best. They're the best fans in football. And it's not even close
Yes.
because they're also, they're also not toxic. They're not like these toxic fans like Cowboys fans or like even like, sorry, Ravens fans, mad toxic or Titans fans apparently, just don't exude
Yeah, man.
toxicity. Yeah, but Titans Twitter is insane. But the Buffalo Bills tonight, they have a chance. What can New England do though? What can New England do to throw them off their game, potentially sneak one?
Nothing. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nothing. New England's not winning. New England's not winning this game. I think Belichick is already. You know what? They're gonna finish out this season. They're already looking forward to next season, dude. Short of Buffalo maybe sitting guys because they know they're already in the playoffs. I don't think Buffalo's going to do that because they want that home field for that 2-3 for that potential 2 versus 3 matchup in the playoffs. They're going to want home field. I mean, I guess what you can do is you could try to get to Josh Allen. You know what I'm saying? You could try to contain Stephon Diggs. Like I would say maybe you could do that, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to score more points than them. And frankly, what is Buffalo averaging points per game this year? I think Buffalo is one of the what are they? They're like a top 5 offense, right? I think Buffalo's a top 5
Yeah,
offense this year.
they're a top five
Yeah,
offense.
at the end you're gonna have to score points. You're gonna have to score more points than them. And the Patriots have made scoring look next to impossible this entire season.
Hello,
So
NFL King. You guys can ask your questions by the way in the live chat if you guys want to. We'll be happy to answer that. But yeah, no, the Bills going to be a tough outing for any team that has to face them in the playoffs. What's a team you think that can actually beat them once they get to the playoffs? What's a team that has the defensive power to actually contain Josh Allen as well as contain the passing game?
I think one team, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say defensive power. Obviously, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to be the favorite coming out of the AFC. I think one team that could potentially give them trouble from a defensive perspective could actually be that team in their division, which is the Miami Dolphins. If the Dolphins do make the playoffs, we have seen what Miami has been able to do defensively. Look what Miami did to Mahomes defensively. You know what I'm saying? They were able to contain Mahomes. Now, I don't know if that's just because the Chiefs have been, kind of coasting into the playoffs because the fact that game was as close as it was yesterday against Atlanta. I don't know if that's any indication of how it's going to be. They're just going to turn it on in the playoffs. I don't know. But I think one team that could potentially slow down Buffalo in the playoffs is Miami. And another team I think that could slow them down because my team doesn't play defense. I'm never going to say my team. My team secondary
What is your
that's a
team, by
lost
the way,
cause.
in case people
Tennessee.
can't tell?
Tennessee. That's a lost cause. That's a lost cause. Our secondary is a lost cause. I think the other team that could potentially stop them if they get in is the Ravens, just because the Ravens can get a pass rush. As you saw, Daniel Jones. I felt so bad for Daniel Jones yesterday because he was on his back. There was a span of, I think, he got sacked 3 snaps in a row. Like,
Including on fourth down. I remember that. I was happy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I remember that.
like,
Yeah, so yeah, so I think the Ravens are probably again the best team to match up against that Bills offense because they have the power in the secondary with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, and they also have the people on the front. Brandon Williams in the middle. You have people on the edge like Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakwe to help with the pass rush. And then you have the linebacker, like that linebacking core with Matthew Judon and Patrick Queen and all of those guys. Tyrus Bowser as well. There's an underrated type of guy. All of that, all of those players. I think it's hard for any quarterback to actually get rushing yards on this Ravens defense because those players are fast and they attack the ball, and that's what you have to do against a team that's like the Bills. You have to attack the ball. Because Josh Allen, he's fast, but he's not like Lamar Jackson or even Jalen Hurts type of fast. He's not going to you don't have to account for where he's going to be. You kind of can tell where he's gonna like. You can kind of follow him and you can attack him there. So that's what you need. I think that linebacking core especially is very underrated, and that's going to be the key in that potential matchup. But I don't think that the Bills are going to be easy though. That offense with Stephon Diggs, you got Smoky Josh Brown on the other side too. Cole Beasley, who's having an amazing season. You got some ballers there, and Josh Allen, of course, you don't have to talk about him anymore. That defense too of the Bills, that defense is powerful. That's a defense that's going to it's going to be sneaky and give Pat Mahomes too a lot of trouble.
Another thing you have to take into account too is we saw this last night with my team. I've suppressed some of those memories, but playing in a cold weather environment, it's not playing in. There's a difference between playing in Miami and playing in Buffalo, dude. Especially at this time of the year, dude. January, dude, it's gonna be single digits, maybe lower than 20 degrees and everything like that. That is advantage any northern team. That's advantage any northern team. That's going to be advantage Buffalo all day, every day, shy of having to play against maybe the Browns who play in a cold environment like that, or they wouldn't play them in the playoffs, but a team like Green Bay. That playing in a cold weather environment like that only bodes well for the home team who has had to play in cold weather games like that. So it's going to be an advantage for them too. You saw Tennessee. Tennessee was the victim of it last night, having to play in that cold weather environment after playing the majority of their games in, I'm not going to say sunny Tennessee, but nowhere near as cold in Tennessee as it is in Buffalo. So that's going to be an advantage to Buffalo. Definitely.
Word. So let's talk about so we already talked about Buffalo in that aspect. So can Buffalo win the Super Bowl? Can they? Yes or no?
I think they can if they get there.
How do they get there? How do they beat
I mean,
Kansas City?
obviously, how
That's
do
the
they
big
beat
question,
Kansas
right?
City?
How do they beat
You
Kansas
gotta.
City? Because you got to if you're gonna go to the Super Bowl from the AFC.
I mean, that's the kind of game I could see being a shootout. That's the kind of game where I could see, Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes are just gonna. Even though Mahomes might have more weapons, that's the kind of game where I could just see Josh Allen and Mahomes just slinging it. You're gonna see the ball flying all over the field. That's the kind of game where because even though Kansas City, they have Le'Veon Bell and maybe Buffalo doesn't kind of have that kind of run game, they're going to have to put up points. And we've seen they can put up points. Kansas City's defense, though improved, it's not like Buffalo's defense, but, Kansas City can score points on everybody. So you're just going to have to put up more points than them. And Buffalo is the one team where I think they can do it. They got a gunner. They got a gunner in Josh Allen. And if Stephon Diggs, shows up, we've seen Stephon Diggs show up in big games like that. Remember, we had the Minneapolis Miracle. We've seen Stephon Diggs has performed very well in the playoffs, especially in big games like that. So, but we'll see what happens. I think that kind of game will be a shootout. That's not the kind of game where because the Bills defense is so good, they're going to be able to get a pass rush on Mahomes, and you're going to see a lot of you're going to see a lot of dump plays. You're going to see a lot of screens. You're not going to see many home runs from Mahomes. And on the flip side, Kansas City's defense is not exactly, it's not like they got Marshawn Lattimore out there guarding Stephon Diggs. You know what I'm saying? They have good corners, but they don't have, lockdown corners. So I think that's the kind of game that could be a shootout. And it's obviously going to be advantage Kansas City because they have all those weapons. But I think if there's anyone in the AFC that can do it, it is Josh Allen. I think so.
Like we said earlier, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson probably the only two people that are going to be able to compete over the next few years with Pat Mahomes, Patrick, as his mother likes to call him, Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs offense. All right, so we're coming into about 30 minutes left in the stream. I did want to get to one thing. So yesterday we had some interesting outcomes, especially with the Eagles. The question I got from Ryan, uh, it was what did the Eagles do? What did the Eagles do at quarterback this offseason? Because you
That's a
have
really
let's actually set the table here because you have Jalen Hurts who's shown that he can play, although a very small sample size, right? He's shown that he can play, but at the same time, what does that really mean? Is Jalen Hurts the guy you're gonna be betting your franchise on, especially when you have Carson Wentz, who granted had a terrible season. People forget that this Eagles team is a terrible football team. This is not a good football team from top to bottom. And yeah, you can blame Wentz all you want, but people like to say, "Oh well, Jalen Hurts had them in games," and Wentz didn't. Wentz had them in a few of those games. He came toe to toe with the Ravens, went down right to the wire with the Ravens, had a chance to tie at the very end, couldn't do it on a 2 point conversion. Went toe to toe with a lot of divisional in those divisional games. So to say that Carson Wentz was solely the reason for them losing is, I think, inaccurate because the dude wasn't given much to work with from the beginning, and you can't just say, "Oh, Jalen Hurts. He look at his stats in these 3 games. Yeah, stats matter. Wins also matter. How many wins does Jalen Hurts have as a starting quarterback in those 3 games that he started? One.
Yeah,
So
I was
it's
trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not so you can't say that just because Jalen Hurts has come in and lit a fire, which he did in that offense, that's not the same as is he going to be sustainable for success because the Eagles have a lot bigger problems if you ask me than quarterback. They could keep someone like Carson Wentz and get a few pieces around him, especially that offensive line. That offensive line was god awful this year. That was god awful. The worst offensive line in football, no cap. That was a terrible offensive line. They need to get better there. And they're hopefully they get some of those pieces together. But at the same time, the bigger question now that Doug Peterson has been thrown, and a lot of the media has a lot to play in this too, and we'll get to the media's role in this because they did a lot more to destroy this quarterback situation than anyone else. What does Doug Peterson do? You are Doug Peterson right now, and you are faced with a conundrum. You have a quarterback you paid over $100 million to, you're committed to over the next 4 years in Carson Wentz, but you also have this young guy who's shown that he can play, and Carson Wentz obviously had a down year. Is it time to move on? What's going on in Philadelphia? Give us the 411.
I think the issue is that I'm not doubting the ability of Carson Wentz. We've seen what Carson Wentz was able to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, wasn't Carson Wentz like not too long ago? People were saying like he was like an MVP candidate. What, last
He
season?
was he
Like,
was an MVP candidate. He was an MVP candidate in 2017. He was
yeah,
that was
like
the year they went 13-3. He
right.
was playing really good football in 18. They also went to the playoffs
So
last year. I just want to set the table. Last year he struggled a little bit, but he wasn't bad. He was still a good quarterback. This year, I think people see the stats, people see the way that offense is playing, and they automatically point to him when it's not all on him. It's also just that offense being god awful and people being
the
injured.
off the offense was really bad, and I think a lot of that, like you alluded to, a lot of that did have to do with the offensive line. Their offensive line was beyond terrible. That offensive line was, and I think that's part of the reason why Jalen Hurts has been able to have, I'm not going to say like the success in terms of winning, but it's looked better with Jalen Hurts on the field than it did with Wentz because Carson Wentz is not a scrambler. Jalen Hurts is more of a scrambler. That's how he was in college. Jalen Hurts was I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to roll out. I'm going to run it because that's more or less what Jalen Hurts is like a running back first that can throw the ball. And I think, when you're a team that doesn't have an O line, you obviously need a mobile quarterback. Jalen Hurts is more mobile than Carson Wentz could ever dream to be. So that's where I think Jalen Hurts has been able to have the success. And I do think a lot of Jalen Hurts' success also has to do with the fact that they had limited film. There's been like when he was named the starter and in the games that he has played, there's limited film on Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
with Wentz, we've had years and years and years and years of Wentz and film on Wentz. And I think that's part of the reason why you have teams are able to game plan for Wentz based off of the all the accumulative film they've been able to watch on Wentz, on top of the offensive line being as bad. Whereas Jalen Hurts is able to have success because there is limited film on him, and he is more of a mobile quarterback. Moving forward, Jalen Hurts, I don't think is the guy long term. I think Jalen Hurts could be a good backup for them. I think Doug Peterson's biggest thing would be build the O line, dude. If you're not going to move on from Wentz, you got to find any possible way to build up that O line to protect Wentz, and maybe go out and maybe get a wide receiver. Like go out and get him some kind of weapons. Miles Sanders is good. Miles Sanders is great. Pride of Penn State. Miles Sanders is good. He's good in their backfield, but they who's their best wideout? Like who would you say is their best wideout? What
Alshon Jeffrey.
yeah, Alshon Jeffrey, and then what? A well past his prime Deshaun Jackson. Like they got to get younger. Obviously, who was the kid they drafted? The kid they drafted at TCU, the wideout at TCU, has not panned out. But I think they have to go out and they have to get definitely get their quarterback if they're going to stick with Wentz because they paid him all that money. See, dude, the problem is I don't know if they're going to be able to move on from Wentz because I don't know what teams are going to be willing to take on that contract. You know what I'm saying? Like people in Indy, I pay attention to what people in Indy say. People in Indy, they don't want him. They don't want Wentz in Indy. People out west.
Yeah, it's the same problem with the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. Yeah, Jimmy G's a good quarterback, but you also know kind of what his ceiling is. He's, a very good game manager, a top 15 quarterback who's injury prone now. Because past few years, last year was the exception, he's been injured a lot. He hasn't been on the field. Even when he was a Patriot, he missed some games to injury when Tom Brady was suspended. So so with these guys, it becomes a question not only where do you move him and what are you going to get back for him, but how do you move them giving the contract. So we'll see what happens with those guys. Coming up to game time, Andrew, let's get down to this game. You said earlier you don't really see a way for the Patriots to win. I do see a way for the Patriots to win. They are going to have to do exactly what they did against Seattle. They're going to have to do exactly what they did against Baltimore. They're going to have to control the clock. It's the only way they'll win. Control the clock and control time of possession as well as the field position. Only way they can win is by beating them at the fundamentals of football. Otherwise, it's over. If they mess up even once, they have no room for error. It's not going to pan out well. Because
who's their quarterback tonight? Patriots quarterback tonight.
Cam Newton. It's still Cam. It's still Cam Newton. So fundamentals are key for the Patriots. They need to win time of possession and they need to win the field position battle. Otherwise, they lose. The way they do that, run the ball. Don't do it too much with don't do it too much with Cam Newton because he's gonna be more susceptible to getting injured or fumbling, as we've seen. We have a Titans fan in the house. We have a Titans fan in the house. Cruel intentions. But yeah, no, that's the only key I see them winning. That being said, I got Bills 24-14. What about you?
No, I don't. I now mind you, my predictions the last couple of days have been so far from off. So don't put any type of merit into this. But I'm thinking Buffalo big. I'm thinking Buffalo 33, maybe the Patriots 6. I'll be generous and give him 10, but I think it's going to be a blowout, dude. I could see a blowout, dude.
I see
Monday
it
Night
too.
Football, the Bills got something to prove. You know what I'm saying? The Bills are one of those, the Bills don't want it. I know there are people who are saying, the Bills are pretenders, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And listen, this is one of those games in Foxborough. This is one of those games where all those years of the Patriots beating up on everybody, all those years of the Bills or their little brother. This is the Bills going into Foxborough and being like, hell no, they're gonna, exactly.
So we got both of us are on the Bills. I think Johnny's on the Bills too. Cruel Intentions just subbed and liked. Thank you so much, Cruel Intentions. I'm sure Andrew also shares your pain as a Titans fan. He was not happy. I can attest firsthand that he was pissed about what happened last night.
Almost made me quit watching sports.
No,
how traumatic it was.
He just asked, Andrew, this is a question for you, my guy. Biggest Titans fan in the world, Andrew Hohenstein. This is for you. Cruel Intentions asked, you think Titans are going to win the division?
I think we're going to win the division because remember, we hold the tiebreaker against Indy. whether Indy wins or loses this weekend. Which don't be surprised. Remember, the only win that Jacksonville got this year was against Indy. Indy is they're hosting Jacksonville this week, so don't
But
is it are
who's
they
the
hosting?
quarterback? Who's the
That's the thing.
quarterback? It's
I mean, I
Mike
don't know.
Glennon. They're
I
not
don't
winning
care.
shit with Mike Glennon.
It
They're not winning
listen,
shit. Unless
Phil
Gardner
Rivers,
Minshew is under center, they're not winning shit.
Phil Rivers. I watched the Phil Rivers interception show, basically do in the Colts this past weekend. We hold a tiebreaker against Indy, which is lit. We're gonna. I mean, even though J.J. Watt did just give that great speech the other day to the media about like players like taking their job serious and everything like that, they just don't have the talent. Houston just doesn't have the talent. Houston is at the point right now where they're just showing up on Sunday. Tennessee has something to play for. Houston's defense is I don't know where they are. JJ Watt's going to show up, but other than that, I don't see anything out of Houston's defense. Win and we're in definitely, but I'm telling you, don't be surprised if Indy loses this Sunday. Remember, the only win Jacksonville got this year was against, and I think Phil Rivers had like 2 picks that game. So don't be surprised, Jacksonville, because now with that Jets win this past weekend, Jacksonville win or lose automatically gets the #1 pick. So Jacksonville might want to end the year on a high note. And if they do, they could really fuck over the Colts. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, your boy King Henry though, he really needs to show up for you guys. And that's the question I was asking. I was saying in a stream earlier, oh yeah, Cruel Intense just mentioned it. King Henry needs 233 yards to go over 2K. He does. And we're going to see if he gets that. But that's the thing. I was mentioning this on a past stream that when we were talking, I had another Titans fan ask me a question about them and their sustainability. Is Can they win in the playoffs with that offense though? Is the question. Can they win in the playoffs if they ever get down to a team like Kansas City? Because what we've seen from Ryan Tannehill doesn't prove that, and what we've seen in the confidence or lack thereof in Mike Vrabel proves that he doesn't think that Ryan Tannehill can lead them, especially down
Well,
because no, remember what happened, Andrew. We talked about this yesterday. What happened? 3 minutes to go against the Colts, divisional game, your only real divisional rival. What happened? 3 minutes ago, 3 timeouts. You essentially had 4 timeouts with a 2 minute warning, and you guys put in your backups and took a knee. That's a sign that you did not have confidence in Ryan Tannehill. No matter how good he's playing this year, you didn't have confidence in him.
yeah, that was bad. And I think that's also what contributed to why when we met them, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later. I think we met them in Indy. That was, when we blew them out, that's what contributed. I think the players were responding to Vrabel. They were trying to show, like, maybe even though our coach quit, we didn't. That's when A.J. Brown took that onside kick and just took that bitch to the house. That was one of the greatest things I've ever seen, by the way. It's one of my favorite moments from the season. Um, to answer your question, though, I don't think we can. And part of the issue is that when we get down, we're a tempo team. We're one of those teams, slow it down, grind out team and everything like that. We are one of those, we have to control the tempo. And think about what led to us going so far last year. A lot of people want to talk about, Derrick Henry this, Derrick Henry that. Yes, Derrick Henry from the offensive perspective, our defense showed up in both of our games against the Ravens and against the Patriots. Remember, we held the Ravens to what? Like 14. How many points did we hold you guys to? We held you to like 14 or something. Like we shut down Lamar Jackson, shut down the run. You guys weren't doing nothing. I think, what did we beat the Patriots? We
The
beat the
game went into
Patriots.
overtime. It did. Okay, we weren't exactly doing nothing. The game went into
No. I'm talking.
overtime.
I'm talking about last year in the
Oh, the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Last
Yeah,
year
you
in the
guys shut us
playoffs.
down. Yeah, you guys shut us
That
down.
so it was we won those games, yes, with Derrick Henry's offense, and yes, little Khalif Raymond did have that one big play in Baltimore, but our defense is what won us those games. And I don't have as much faith in the defense this year just because of how weak the secondary has been. We've had guys injured and everything like that. The secondary really hasn't had a chance this entire year to get it together. And the pass rush, I don't know what the fuck we gotta either draft a fucking dude, or like you were telling me before, go get Matthew Judon or something in the offseason. We have to get a pass rush, dude. I think, what was somebody telling me? TJ Watt has more sacks than the entire Titans team combined. Like,
Yep.
yeah, we gotta we gotta
Yeah,
we gotta shore
you
that up.
guys
We
gotta
gotta
step it up.
Yeah.
How do you have less than 200 subs? We're working on it. We just started recently. We're working on it. Don't worry, we'll get there. Yeah, we smashed the Pats and Ravens, both road games in the hostile environments. Yeah, okay, yeah. I want to see you guys do it. No, you guys did do it again against the fuck. All right, moving on because I hate talking about the Titans. I'm sorry.
I'm done
So
talking about it too, dude. I
yeah,
am suppressing all that shit from yesterday. Like, as far as I'm concerned, yesterday didn't happen.
yeah, well, yeah. Tune into the Pat McAfee show tomorrow on Aaron Rodgers Tuesday when they just completely shit on the Titans.
I'm not
Uh,
watching.
yeah. So let's talk about. Okay, let's talk about this MVP. Pat, we have an MVP candidate potentially playing tonight. Who do you think? Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, or Josh Allen, or somebody else? Maybe King Henry. Who do you think is going to walk away with the MVP this year?
I think it should be Aaron Rodgers. Just given the state of what they were able to do, new head coach, but outside of Devontae Adams, doesn't have anywhere near the weapons that Mahomes has. And he's still, dude, he's still putting up career fucking numbers, dude. He has them in the number one seed in the in the NFC, you know. And people were saying last night, dude, if you shut down, I didn't really know much about their defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? I heard they had a pretty good defense, but people were saying if you stop King Henry, there's no excuse why that team can't win the Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers on offense. I think Aaron Rodgers gets the MVP this year. Absolutely. I mean, I hate having to bring this shit up, but after watching what he did to my team yesterday, mind you, my team secondary is some shit, but after watching, the beatdown yesterday and how the defense was able to, honestly, I'm going to change my pick. My pick preseason was the Saints to win the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I'm thinking the Packers getting to and winning the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers gets the MVP and Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers he's making a huge case, especially what he did. Sorry, what he did to the Titans. My apologies, but what he did to the Titans just kind of it doubled down on what we already know. He's the best player of this past generation, while Pat Mahomes I think might be the best player of all time. Well, that's to be seen. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers got that on bag. But Super Bowl, I gotta disagree. I disagree. I think there's one team out there that's getting hot right now that not a lot of people want to face. And the way that they're getting hot, the way that they're playing, you know where I'm going with this. The
The
team,
Jets.
they are on a 2 game winning streak. This is true. This is when someone said that, someone said that on Twitter. It was like Jets are on a winning streak they haven't seen in years. Literally, they have not seen a winning streak like that in years. So
Hottest team in
Aaron,
football. One of the hottest teams in football right
hottest
now.
team in football. Yeah, hottest team in football. But in all seriousness, I think the team to watch out for, and the team that I think is going to make it out of the AFC. And again, this is a combination of gut feeling as well as actually looking at which teams are playing the best. I do think that the Baltimore Ravens, the way they're playing, the Baltimore Ravens, the way they're running ball, Lamar Jackson, exactly what I said he needed to do. He, like, in the beginning of the season, he was very tepid. He didn't really want to throw the ball deep downfield. He was thinking too much about it. And he even said in the interview this past week, beginning of the season, I was thinking way too much. I wasn't just letting it rip. And now he's letting it rip. Now he's just saying, all right, if I throw a pick, I throw a pick. But now he's got the confidence, and we already knew he had the ability. So that fear is gone, and you're just seeing him complete the passes down the field better. We saw that strike to Hollywood Brown to get them to win that game on Monday Night Football a few weeks ago against the Browns. We saw him in this past game hit Dez Bryant on a nice route in the back of the end zone. We saw him in the game before that against the Cowboys do the same thing. So he's throwing the ball more. He's becoming better, and then that's when that team opens up. That's when that team gets more dangerous because if Lamar Jackson is able to get hot passing and that threat of the pass is there, it makes the run even more dangerous because then you have to account for both, and you can't do that with Lamar Jackson. You can only account for him when you have to account for running the ball. If he beats you passing, it's over for you. And that's where I think
not just that,
a
dude.
team like Kansas City, that's where I think a team like Kansas City is going to have trouble, especially if they are able to keep the ball away from Pat Mahomes.
And not just that, dude. On the subject of the Ravens, dude, because we were arguing about this yesterday, dude. That kid, my boy out of Ohio State, the kid who just set the Ravens rookie touchdown record, dude, that's another kid, dude. You got to worry about that kid in the backfield. That's going to open up the RPOs.
Oh yeah,
Not only is that kid,
him and Gus Edwards are an amazing combo. I think best running back combo in the NFL.
not only is that kid, you have to worry about Lamar coming out of the backfield, but once you're starting to run, like once you're able to start running those RPOs with the threat, because you're always going to be keyed in on Lamar Jackson, dude. But if you got to worry about stopping that kid, you get that kid in the open field. That's a tough kid to bring down. J.K. Dobbins is a tough fucking kid to tackle. He goes to the contact, which is something that not many running backs do nowadays, outside of maybe Derrick Henry or some fullbacks. He
Hmm.
goes to the contact, and he's going to be a hell of a player, dude. Like, you guys got to steal. Once again, this is why I was pissed. We're not going to get into it. We had an argument yesterday.
Well, you're perpetually pissed. You're just
I wanted,
perpetually pissed about sports.
I wanted Dobbins to go back to school just to make this New Year's Day matchup between Clemson and Ohio State just a better matchup. But regardless, I knew J.K. Dobbins was going to be a stud. Everyone knew J.K. Dobbins was going to be a stud. The Ravens stole him late in the second round. I think it was a second rounder.
Yeah, he was a second
Ravens
round pick.
stole him. They stole him in the second round. I think he was clearly a first round talent. He's showing it, dude. Setting Ravens rookie records already. That's going to
Yeah.
be a problem, dude. I kind of agree with you. If there's one dark horse people have to watch is the Ravens, because the Ravens are built on defense. Their defense is always going to be there. And if Lamar is able to show up, especially in his passing game, dude, that's going to open up the run game with those RPOs. You have to worry about you're going to have a three-headed monster essentially if they're able to make that work. You know, they have Dez, Hollywood Brown. That's going to be a three-headed monster. And remember, dude, we saw last year they were able to put up points on the board. They were putting up points. I think, what was it? Their offense statistically might have been better than the Chiefs last year. I forget. That team was dropping 40 a game. Like, it was, that team was putting up what? That team was putting up 40 a game last year, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's gonna be the team to really watch out for if you're Kansas City. Especially, I mean, granted, Kansas City has their number. One question by Cruel Intentions: thoughts on Brady in the Bucks? Brady and the Bucks just clinched a playoff spot too, so they're a team to also watch out for. What do you think about them?
To me, yeah, they're a playoff
Also, you
team. They're very
sit up
good.
a little bit. You've
Yeah,
seen,
they're a playoff
yeah.
team. They're very good. I just think they're kind of inconsistent. My problem is I'm not worried about Brady. I'm not worried about, them being able to, Brady showing up. I just think, I'm going to put it on Arians, dude. I'm going to put it on Arians in that offense. Remember, in the playoffs, dude, one off day, you're going home. And I'm worried about, just in the Arians offense, him trying to, take too many shots down the field and anything like that. That could result in unnecessary interceptions. And if there's any time in the NFL where interceptions could fucking doom you, it's the playoffs. And you could have a day where, Arians draws up plays and, Brady has two picks that are not really his fault. That was the play that Arians called. And because that's the difference. One thing people don't take into account, the difference between the Patriots and Tampa Bay was McDaniels. Brady is like a game manager type of quarterback. They were the Patriots. If you remember their offense was not, like an air raid offense. Their offense, Arians and McDaniels, two very different types. The Patriots offense was more of like a methodical, move it up the field. You know what I'm saying? Kill some clock. And Brady, because Brady was a game manager, best to ever do it. Now you have, someone like Arians, and you know we saw with Jameis Winston, dude. Remember Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston is statistically apparently one of the greatest quarterbacks ever because he's got touchdown totals that are up there with Peyton Manning. You know what I'm saying? Peyton Manning, Elway, Favre, and like that. He also has interception totals that are record breaking. He's thrown so many interceptions in his career, in his short career. So that's one thing that I could definitely see with. That's one thing I think that could do the Patriots in, honestly, when they make the playoffs is just Arians play calling
You
could
mean
end up.
the Bucks?
Bucks. That's what I mean. Sorry, the Bucks
Yeah.
is Arians play calling leading to unnecessary turnovers for the Patriots that could end up doing them in.
How about the Finns finish with Las Vegas? That was crazy. That my heart sank. I was pissed. I'm someone who never gets mad usually at games. Like the only times I ever get really mad about, like, even when Billy Cundiff, I'm a Ravens fan. When Billy Cundiff missed the kick in the AFC Championship game, I didn't get mad. I was sad. I was really sad. I put my head down and shit. But very few times have I ever gotten mad about football. When when that Raiders defender was playing zone and there was no running back in the flat, and he took his eye off the ball, he let his man go free, and instead chose to go into the flat when there was nobody there. I literally picked up my remote and I threw it at my TV. I was pissed. I yelled. My brother heard me. My mom heard. Everybody heard me. It was terrible. I've never been so mad because you're the Raiders. You know firsthand what something like that can do. You know firsthand what to do in that situation. They literally had that happen to them in order to win a game. They
They won a game
literally had
because of that exact
they
same
won a game
thing.
because of Greg Williams doing almost the exact same thing. Granted, they didn't blitz like he did, but they were in the wrong defense. You should have people cover. You should have people covered. There's no running back in a flat. Don't worry about that. That's not your assignment. Your assignment is to get your guy who's running, streaking 15 yards behind you, and you have to run back, and you're letting the safety handle that when the safety knows he's in zone two. No, that can't happen. That shouldn't be allowed to happen, especially when Fitzmagic is getting his face mask torn off. You're telling me he's getting his face mask torn off, and he's gonna be able to complete a pass like 40 yards downfield for a first down and a 15-yard penalty. Disgraceful, and that falls on John Gruden too. That falls on John Gruden not being holding his coordinators to account. He should have known what exactly to do. He has the right to override the defensive coordinator if he thinks the play call is bad. And players also should have been coached better at the end of the day. You think John Gruden's job is safe? By default, yeah, it is. Unfortunately, by
I've
default,
gone on. I've gone on a
he's
rant about this.
yeah.
I think they should
If
be.
you
They should
yeah,
already be petitioning to get him out of fucking L.A. But or the Vegas.
the problem is
I've
he
gone on
owns the
this.
damn team. He
Yeah,
basically owns the damn team. I think his pay. He's getting paid more than Mark Davis has in his bank account. That's the sad part. So like he's got a 10-year,
ten
million
years.
dollar contract, and you can hear us talk and ramble about that on Real Take Sports Talk every single week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. But the thing with his contract, it just doesn't allow you. I think he's 3 years into his contract now. It doesn't allow them to actually have room for any sort of cutting or opt out. So he's stuck there, and they're stuck with him. And the problem is he hasn't gone 0-16, which would I think be the only way they would even think about cutting him after paying him that much money. And even then, Mark Davis is broke. He's literally broke. He's in debt like $700 million or something crazy to Bank of America for building the new stadium and other fees that go along with the move to Las Vegas, which by the way crippled the entire organization. It's one of the reasons they had to let go and trade their best player in almost a generation in Khalil Mack. So the Raiders, that's a team that's going to be, I think, in peril for years to come. And it's unfortunate. They have a good core, I think, Derek Carr and those guys, but it's just
Car's
difficult for me
gone.
to see. It's difficult for me to see them succeeding with Gruden. It's difficult for me to see, considering the situation financially the Raiders are in and how much Gruden is tied. He literally, part of his contract was a owner stake in the team. Like he got ownership stakes in the team. That becomes its own complicated mess because you can't fire an owner, right? But we'll see what happens with that. He's not going. He's not going. But I don't. I think his job is relatively safe. Although that job would be. I
And
don't
it
even
is a
know.
shame. And it
Yeah.
is a shame because it should not be. It is a shame. My brother is a diehard Raiders fan, and it is a shame because his job is safe, and it should not be. Not after what has transpired this year. We were talking about this literally what yesterday. We were talking about this when we were previewing the games yesterday, dude. When what the fact that John Gruden almost lost, we were talking about like they got eliminated, or it was Saturday. The fact that John Gruden almost lost to the Jets at the time that they did, they should not they should have gotten a this season just a ban from the NFL playoffs. Like they should not have been allowed in. The next team underneath them should have been given that spot instead of them if they were in playoff contention just off of that performance alone, knowing that if not for the worst defensive play call on the last play of a game in the history of the NFL is why they won that game. They should not have been, even if they won out, should not have been allowed to be in the playoffs because of that incident right there. And it is a shame that Gruden's job, even though it should be, and a lot of other coaches who were not, who, if they were in Gruden's situation, but did not have the kind of power that Gruden has within that organization that was given to him for God knows why, there are coaches that would have already been gone if their
All
names
right.
were not. Yeah.
All right. We're coming down to the end of the stream. Andrew, last question: who wins and why?
When tonight?
Yeah.
Buffalo. Buffalo wins because they're the better team. They have something to prove. This is one of those. The Patriots are out of the playoffs. You don't know what kind of team the Patriots are going to roll out there. The Patriots have just been awful all year, haven't been able to get it together, have not recovered since Tom Brady leaving. Cam Newton is clearly not the guy that Tom Brady was. Belichick, I think, has already moved past this season. He's already looking forward to the draft in next year. And Buffalo is going to put a beat down on them for all those fucking years. The last 20 years of Buffalo being the Patriots' little brother, of, the Patriots dominating this damn division, and Buffalo always being, the wild card team. Buffalo, people looking at Buffalo as like a joke. This one, they're gonna win this one, and this is gonna be a beatdown, and this one they're gonna win for Bills Mafia for the last 20 years. That's what you're gonna expect tonight. That's what you're gonna see tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Bills just have way too much firepower. Only way Patriots even come close to winning this game is by controlling the clock, and even then, they have not proved that they can do that recently. I got Bills 24-14. Andrew has them by a way larger margin. But
33 to like 7. I will go as high as 33-10, but don't be surprised if it's like 33 to 6. Cam doesn't even I don't think Cam's getting into the end zone tonight.
So we're all on the Patriots. That's just how it be. Or sorry, we're all on the Bills. We're all on the Patriots losing. But that's just how it be. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Remember, guys, if you haven't, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We're gonna be posting a few videos coming up, a few more streams. Be sure to check those out. Also, be sure to check out the podcast, Real Take Sports Talk, on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, and Spotify. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, last thing, if you can, for as little as $2 a month, consider supporting us on patreon.com/Real Take Sports. It's a little bit of money, but it can also give you some awesome exclusive content about Andrew bitching about sports, which is fucking hilarious if you ask me. But find out for yourself. It's patreon.com/Real Take Sports. All right, for Andrew, I'm Omar. We'll see you next time.